Good morning, everybody. This is James Morris. It's bright and early, and it's Monday morning, and you're probably saying, well, what are we going to talk about this week? Well, we've always talking about cooling systems and getting ready to get on the road, and I just got back from visiting my kids down in South Florida, and I noticed more wrecks from trailers, people pulling motorhomes. We're not talking minor wrecks. I'm talking major wrecks, probably loss of life, where the trailer is destroyed, the big Excursion or whatever it is, V10 engine or whatever's pulling it is upside down on the side of the road. And I noticed that when this happened, I would take a look at, tires. I'd see the vehicle upside down, or I'd see the trailer upside down. And I noticed that on the two wrecks that I saw, one of the tires on the trailer was blown out, and the other one, a tire was blown out on the back of the back of the truck. Either way, the control was lost of the vehicle with the trailer, and people proceeded to, they ended up getting hurt or killed, and that's preventable. Tire blowouts are preventable, especially
pretty much, but not quite 100%, but pretty much. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be, this wouldn't have happened.
Because you can always run across something in the road.
Well, that's true, but the biggest thing that I see, and just about, if I could stop and go look at it, and this is what insurance adjusters will tell you and police will tell you, the reason tires blow out is they're more than 5 years old. That's the reason they blow out, or they're underinflated, or both. That's usually what ends up happening. We had a car come in here the other day, 10-year-old tires in it. And the customer wanted to drive it, he wanted to drive it someplace out of town. And I said, yeah, everything's wonderful in your car, your fluids are good, everything's fine, but your car's not safe. He said, what do you mean it's not safe? Your tires are your problem. Well, my tires have lots of rubber on them. Yes, sir, they have lots of rubber on them. They look relatively new. You've got like 30 seconds left on here. That's not the problem about tread. Your problem is your tires are dry rotted and cracked. They're 10-year-old tires. I do not recommend you getting up to highway speeds. Matter of fact, I don't recommend you even riding here in town. It just takes a blowout, and next thing you know, you're hitting a curb or running into somebody, or someone could be hurt. But tires more than 5 years old, it's not a matter of if they're going to blow, it's a matter of when they're going to blow, because they will fail when you least expect it. I've had tires fail sitting still, parked, no weight on them. 8 years old, 9-year-old tires sitting in my shop. I got it on video. It blew me away. I got a call at 11:10 or 11:17 on June 22nd, and they said, someone's breaking into your shop. And I said, really? And they go, yeah, here, listen to it. And I listened to it. I said, no, that's a tire blowing out. They played it back to me. I said, that sounds like a tire that exploded. And I looked at my shop on my cameras, and I could see I had a truck leaning to one side. And I said, it looks like a tire has exploded. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. I came down the next morning, saw a tire had literally, on the back of my truck, had literally blown apart. Now, this truck doesn't go anywhere. This truck just sits here in my lot, and we just use it to pull cars around. Probably hadn't driven it very much in the last 2 or 3 years. But still, I've got it on the road a few times, and I'm glad it blew out on me sitting still rather than going down the highway. And that's where a lot of people make that mistake. They say they got lots of rubber on their tires, they got good air pressure in it, they'll go make sure it has the right amount of air pressure in it, they'll check their tires, and then they'll get on the road and they don't look at the date, the DOT number. The last 4 digits of the DOT number tell you the week and the year it was made. If you've got a tire that's 5 years old, or right at 5 years old, I wouldn't want to take it to go cross country. I wouldn't want to take it to go to Southport, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want to go across county. The tires will blow out, and they don't give you any reason. And if a tire blows out on the front, you understeer and you just keep going straight, and you can kind of, slow down, put your foot on the brake and slow down. If a tire blows on the back, the first thing people want to do is touch the brake. That's the worst thing you can do. It can actually cause the front tires to slow down faster than the rear tires and cause the car to flip. And you go, what? Yeah, that's exactly how that happens. If a rear tire blows out, you will oversteer. It doesn't take much movement to make the car flip around. You'll oversteer. Where if a front tire blows out, you will understeer. You just keep going in a straight direction. It's not so risk of flipping or losing control if a front tire blows out. But if a rear tire blows out, all bets are off. If you've ever seen a NASCAR race and you see them get turned sideways and you see the rear tires smoking, and you wonder, why are the rear tires smoking? Are they hitting no, they're hitting their gas to try to push through it, to try to come out from around it, because they know if they hit the brakes or they slow down, they're flipping. So that's why it's so dangerous to have a rear tire blowout. That's why the best tire should always go on the back. If you're buying 2 tires, do not put the new tires on the front end. Everybody, even when I was growing up, I was taught well, your new tires should always go on the front end. No, you're supposed to put the very best tires on the back. Rotate the tires that are on the back to the front. Tires should be rotated every 6,000 to 8,000 miles. Failure to do that will cause you to have wear patterns on your tires, cause your tires to become noisy and to wear prematurely out. You don't need that to happen. So rotate your tires every 6,000 to 8,000 miles. Make sure you keep the air pressure. If the maximum air pressure in your tires are 44 psi, the closer you can run to that maximum air pressure, the better fuel mileage you'll get and the better handling you will have, and the better wear pattern the tires will have. My truck runs 44 psi. Well, my Prius, 51 psi for maximum air pressure for these low rolling resistant tires. I run around 50 psi. On the highway, I get 48 to 49 miles to a gallon with non-ethanol fuel, 90 octane, at 49 miles per gallon. Down there and back, I was like, wow, pretty impressive. If I run 41 pounds of air in my tires, I get about 46. But I'll get a little bit less fuel mileage than if I run less air pressure tires. So running a little bit more air pressure lets your tires wear more evenly, lets you have less rolling resistance, so you pick up a little bit about gas mileage. Now, even if you don't have a hybrid vehicle, you're going to pick up a little bit better gas mileage because you have less rolling resistance. When you were a kid and you had a bicycle and the tires got a few pounds lower, you could feel they were soft and squishy. It took a lot of effort to pump your bicycle up, to get up to speed. Well, it's the same thing with a car. You don't have to pump the pedals, but you still have to push the gas pedal down. It takes more energy to push a car with lower inflated tires than normally inflated tires. So keep your tire pressure up. Make sure your tires are not more than 5 years old. Make sure they have more than 4 30-seconds of rubber left on them. 2 30-seconds is where the wear bars are, and at that they should have been. At 4 30-seconds, you really should be getting rid of your tires. People should not be having tires on their cars that have 4 30-seconds or less tread wear, especially in Florida where it rains so much. It only takes a dime's worth of rain, thickness of a dime's worth of rain, to cause you to hydroplane at 35 miles an hour with 4 30-seconds, and 4 30-seconds to 2 30-seconds. It doesn't take much, and you can lose control. Just like that Michelin commercial, there's a lot riding on your tires. Well, there is a lot riding on your tires. You're riding on your tires, and you're worth something. Your family's riding on your tires. Your car's worth on your tires. That's your second biggest investment. And I don't know if car is considered an investment. Your single biggest purchase besides a home is your car. If you got a newer car out there, you're paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a car over a period of 7, 8, 9, 10 years. A lot of money, a lot of time. You want to make sure it lasts till you wear the seats out. And you can by making sure that you do the fluid maintenances that need to be done on yearly or a timely basis. They need to be done according to miles and or time, not just. I've had some people say, well, I changed my oil every 3,000 miles. How long does it take you 3,000 miles? 2 years? No, way too long. If you only do 3,000 miles a year on your car, you need to change your oil at least once a year using full synthetic oil. If you'll do that, you'll be okay. But I have some little ladies out there, they'll put 3,000 miles every 2 or 3 years. They don't drive it very much, and I have to remind them every year we're going to change your oil. Where you got 500 miles on it or 3,000 miles on it, we're going to change your oil, and we're going to run synthetic oil. If we do that, we don't have any trouble with it. Same thing about your tires. Your tires, they're good for 5 years. After that, all bets are off. Good. Use your tires for 5 years. Don't try to protect them and say, well, I need to last them 10 years. No, your tires are good for 5 years. So you're going to buy those tires. You're going to look at the date when they were bought. They're probably 6 months to a year old when you bought them. So you've got 4 years of riding on them before you need to get rid of them and replace them. So figure out how many miles you're going to be able to, these tires are going to last you, 50,000 miles, 60,000 miles, 80,000 miles. How much, do your maintenance. Figure out how often you need to rotate your tires. You may only drive 15,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 10 to 15,000 miles a year. I may need to change your oil 2, maybe 3 times a year. Every 5,000 to 6,000 miles, you're talking about 3 times a year. Rotating your tires 3 times a year. Put that into your budget. Figure out what it's going to cost to rotate and balance your tires, do an oil change, And you're going to have to do that every 5,000 to 6,000 miles. So put that into your budget of what it's going to cost to do car repair. Same thing about transmission services. Same thing about, any type of maintenance on your car. The biggest thing is it's frequency and doing them on a proper time frame. Oils every 5,000 to 6,000 miles or 6 months is what I recommend if you're a severe service driver, which means you're driving 1,000 miles a month, stop and go driving traffic. That's something you need to do on a regular basis. Too many people think they got it just the opposite. Normal drivers is stop and go driving, and severe service is getting on the highway. It's just the opposite. Severe service is stop and go driving. Picking your kids up from school, going to soccer games, going to church. These short trips are really hard on a car. They never get up to operating temperature before you shut them off. They never get a chance to evaporate any of the acids that are inside the oil before you shut them off. So they just keep building up. Well, tires are the same way. People don't ever bother to check the air pressure in the tires until they notice one looks a little slack, or the TPMS light comes on if they have those, or some people have TPMS lights on with black tape over them, so they have no idea how much air is in their tires. If they're low or they're high, they just go out and kick the tires over so often and say, they look good. But as little as 7 to 10 pounds of air can cause you to hydroplane in a dime's thickness of water at 35 miles an hour. So please, pay attention to your tires. Pay attention to your maintenance schedules. Pay attention to things that are very, very important to keep your family safe, to keep you safe. If you want to go visit somebody on a weekend and you all of a sudden on Thursday afternoon you notice that your tires are 6 years old, or they need to have air put on, you need to be prepared. Be a Boy Scout. Look ahead. Be proactive when it comes to keeping your car safe and dependable on the highway. Too many people are only reactive after they say, oh, Lord, I have a problem here. I need to look at this. My tire is about ready to fall off, or it's wearing on the inside or the outside edge. And then now they're having to do crisis management to get the car ready to go visit family or friends. Always keep your car ready. It's like, you always want to take care of yourself. You want to keep yourself healthy. Well, it's the same thing about your car. You want to keep your car healthy. You want to keep it safe. You want to keep it ready if you have to go somewhere. If you have to leave town due to a hurricane, or you have to leave due to an emergency, a family emergency, someone's sick, someone's not well, you need to go visit them. That's your independence, is your car. You take away that car, you find out what little independence you do have. It doesn't take long to say, man, I got to call someone to get across town to go to work. And you don't like that. I mean, that's why people like having their own cars, having the freedom to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, and how they want to do it. And that's what makes America one of the things that's amazing to me, that we can do these things. But a lot of countries don't have these rights. A lot of countries don't have these, where we can make our own choices and go where we want to go. But those that do have it, they're very, like Germany. Those countries right there, they're very strict on their maintenance. They make sure their brake fluid gets changed on a regular basis. Once every couple of years, that brake fluid has to be changed. Same thing for your car. If your brake fluid hasn't been changed in a couple of years and you open the hood up, and you see your brake fluid looks dark, I can guarantee you it needs to be changed. Brake fluid has a boiling point when it's brand new, around 500 to 600 degrees. Over a period of 2 to 3 years, it'll drop down to where it boils just about as fast as water. Boiling point of water at atmospheric pressure is 212 degrees. I've seen boiling point of brake fluid down to 215, 220 degrees, where it's nothing but almost water inside there. Hey, this is James Morris. If you got a car question, give us a call, 850-763-0555. Scott Hobbs should be calling in just a minute, and we'll be right back.
If you want the best deal in town for tires, you need to call Baytown Tires at 873-8900.
Hanson and the guys at Baytown Tires take pride in serving Panama City for over 20 years. Baytown Tires on Highway 98 in St. Andrews. All service work backed by a nationwide warranty.
Water is too powerful to fight alone. Mr. Ruta Plumbing. Sink, shower, and toilet emergency drain services.
Part of what I'd like to let you know is what we do and how we work our system. Basically, we've got about 700 stocking dealers scattered around the 15 counties here in the Big Bend area of the state. I run a fleet of trucks, vans, and what we call hotshot vehicles to deliver to our dealers quickly so they can help service you as fast and efficiently as they can. Provide timely and efficient service and We're there to take care of our dealers, who in turn can take care of their customers.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our second part of our show. Scott Hobbs calls every Monday morning on his way to work because he gets to work early because Mr. Reuter never, ever sleeps, it seems like. Scott, aren't y'all always on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
We sure are. We never stop.
Never stop.
Waffle House is open, we're open.
That's the way it works out there. Now, we've had a lot of rain this year, and a lot of people have had problems with their septic tanks and stuff, but rain affects also people with city plumbing as well, does it not? The people that have city sewers?
It can. It sure can. There's been situations where we have excessive rain and the lift stations overfill, and it's just it can be a mess. If you have a lift station out in your yard and your yard's got 6 inches of water, it's pouring in that lift station. And the lift station's trying to overcome that, pump all the water out of the yard, plus your normal usage.
And those are something that's something that has to do with maintenance, but preventive maintenance. But sometimes it's the maintenance of your house. Those lines, I've seen people that have even myself, we have city sewer, and over a period of time, the tree roots seem to figure out where that city sewer line is. And they get in there and they actually cause a lot of problems. They actually get in there and y'all have a way of killing those tree roots, I understand. How do y'all go about doing it where they won't come back? Or is that something that's always going to be a problem on sewer lines? I was just curious about that.
Well, the best solution, the tree roots are in there because there's an imperfection, a break, a crack, or a hole, or some way for the roots to get into the pipe. So the best way is to repair that spot. Replace the sewer line or repair the spot that's allowing the roots in. Because otherwise, it's going to be just like shaving. You shave, and the more you shave, the more you got to shave.
That's true.
Right.
So you repair the area. Now, y'all could do, I guess you could either repair the area by digging that area up and replacing it with new pipe, or you have a way that you talked about, you introduced me to a few years ago, where y'all take a fiberglass sock and inject it inside there, and it's a liquid fiberglass sock that's soft, and y'all cure it with hot water and make it a permanent repair, where it's a permanent pipe inside a pipe. And that's what y'all do for something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That's a common thing. We can do a 2-foot section, or we can do a 200-foot section, depending on just the need of the customer.
Okay.
And the existing pipe acts as a host pipe, and we take and reline with this fiberglass mesh or sock. It's like a sock. If you was to see it before we start to process it, it looks just like a tube, a flexible tube, or a big, huge tube sock, and it goes in the line. And you're right. We once we get it in, we inject hot water and circulate it from one end of the pipe back to the other. And that hot water, as you know, hot heat cures fiberglass.
Boy, does it!
And it causes it to cure. And we remove all that out, and you've got a brand new pipe. It's slicker and seamless.
Okay.
It's more slick than it was before, and it's seamless.
Now, the best part about this is that it doesn't require digging up your driveway or digging up your yard, does it? You could do this without doing anything invasive. I mean, your neighbors would never know you had a blockage of any sort.
That's exactly right. And we've also done this underneath homes. Many times folks will buy a home and they get all excited about remodeling and revamping, and they'll do all these cosmetic things to the home, new floors, new wall covering, and they don't think about what's maybe under the floor in the walls.
Right.
And so we've had many situations where folks said, I've just spent 30, 40, 50 grand on this flooring. You can't pull up my flooring to repair the pipe. So we're able to reline and save them tons of money and tons of heartache.
Okay, now we're going to shift gears, so to speak. We've gone from getting water out of the house, use water out of the house. How do you get water into the house? Because there's a lot of homes in Bay County that were built in the 30s and 40s, and their galvanized pipe that were 3/4 of an inch right now are about 1/4 of an inch as far as letting water come through. They've all corroded up. How does Mr. Reuter take care of a problem like that without ripping the floors up or something like that to put in water lines into a house?
Well, sure. That can be a little more invasive. A lot of, not most of them, but a lot of the homes that we find that have the galvanized, they were built in an off-grade situation where there's a crawl space.
Oh, okay.
Still lots of homes out there that way. So that's usually a piece of cake to crawl under, reline, repipe those water lines. If we're not doing that, then we have to go through the attic, and we have to make penetrations in the walls and things like that to repipe a home. So it's a little more invasive,
Okay.
But it's something that we're really good at. We do a lot of. It's minimal intrusion. So you're going to have a little bit of wall repair done, but not that much.
Now, I was talking to someone the other day. I said, man, I want to get my pipes changed, but I'm not going to put PVC down. And I said, well, no, they don't lose PVC anymore. And they go, well, what are they going to put in there if I got metal pipes right now and they're going to take, they're going to replace them. They're not going to put metal pipes back in because they'd have to rip my concrete up. And I said, they have something called PEX piping. And I don't know anything about it other than it comes in red and blue is what I know of. And it works real well with hot water and cold water. It just does not like sunlight. You can't have it exposed to sunlight. It's the only thing I know about it. Is that what you what people would replace their piping with, or their PVC or whatever they're replacing it with PEX piping? Is that what y'all use?
Oh, absolutely. That would be my first choice
Okay.
for anyone. I've got it in my home. We do new homes on a day-to-day basis, and that's exclusively what we install. Number one, copper is very expensive anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the precious metal that it is, and it costs more labor to install copper.
Yeah, you got to sweat it.
I love copper. It's beautiful. It takes an artist to make it look really good. But the way to go nowadays is the PEX piping. It's a cross-link plastic it's very freeze resistant. So if it freezes, it's going to stretch, and it's always trying to return to its original shape. You're right. The only adversary that it has is the UVs from the sun. So if it is in an exposed area, it should be covered with insulation or something of that nature. But PEX piping is definitely the way to go.
Okay, now how long has PEX piping been out? Because I was talking to someone about it. He said, I have never heard of this. I said, I think it's been out for a while now. It's got a pretty good track record as far as being dependable. It's not like that gray piping of 20 years ago that, well, it seemed like it was not freeze resistant. Every time it froze, it broke or it leaked or whatever. But so this is not the type piping. It's only similar as part that it's flexible. But it's not like that gray polybutylene of years ago that caused so many problems in people's homes. This is a acceptable replacement that's UL approved. Am I saying that correctly? Is what they're...
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Sure. It's definitely accepted everywhere. Everybody accepts it. Even Jacksonville may accept it. There for a long period of time, they outlawed copper because copper was causing so many problems. That they would only allow CPVC piping, but I think they now allow the PEX piping as well. And I would say that it's probably, I don't know how long it's been around, but it's been around for a good 20 years, I know. And they were using it in Europe before they were using it here, which is usually common for things like that. Like, tankless water heaters were more common in Europe before they came here, which is interesting, I think. But and they also used it for hydronic heating. So you would run it coils in the floor, and I think that's where it first got its start. So that tells you how successful or how good a product it is, because it's used to extreme, constant circulation of hot water. And if it can withstand that, it can withstand just the day-to-day use of a residential application.
Is that something y'all be able? Since you said geo heating, heating in the floor, that's part of geoengineering and things like that. Excuse me, geoengineering, heating and cooling. What I'm curious, is that something y'all do, or y'all subcontract out to run that? I don't know if there's any geothermal heating in floors here in this part of Florida or not. I don't know if it's even cold enough in the winter.
There are some contractors that do that for the heating side of it, which is a little bit different skill set than ours. But as far as the hydronic heating, where you would run the pipes through the floor to heat your home with. That's something that a plumber would do.
Okay.
And we really don't have cold enough winters here to really, spend the money to do that. Now, I did years ago. I put in hydronic heating, and I don't know if you remember when ostriches was a very popular thing. The market was really strong for ostriches and ostrich farming, so we had to install hydronic heating in an ostrich farm. So the little ostrich chicks, they couldn't go to the bathroom if their feet were cold. So we had to keep the slab warm where they were being raised at. So we did get a chance to do one years ago.
All right, well, that just goes to show you how in farming, plumbing helps out even in farming. I never would have thought about that. But this geoheating and something that's been around for a long time over in Europe, where they actually heat the floors and not so much heating the air, but they heat the floors and that radiates heat through it. But that's something that's it's catching on, I would say, because a lot of people are doing, instead of that wastewater for their air conditioning unit, is actually going through the slab and heating. Instead of sending warm water outside, it actually heats the inside of the house. So there's a lot of improvements, I would say, in plumbing that's taken place in the last 20 years. Would you say that? And as far as advancements?
Oh, sure.
Because I didn't think there was very much improvements in plumbing when I first started doing it. I said, well, water flows downhill. What more could be improvements? Well, since I've been talking to you, you taught me about PEX piping. You taught me about that they don't use copper and lead anymore. You taught me how we don't use galvanized pipe anymore. But we're using this PEX piping, and we're using different low flow toilets that actually do the job that what a high flow toilet used to do with a fraction of the water. I mean, there's been a heck of a lot of improvements in plumbing in the last 20 years, and you really just don't think about it till you go to a store and start looking. And as I've been talking to you over the years, there's been a lot of improvements that I never paid any attention to until I started talking to you about like toilets or PEX piping or the copper, how much trouble it is to do sweating copper. I tried doing that. That's not an easy job to do. It does take it does take a talent. I mean, I do radiator repair, so I knew the basics on how to do it. But if you don't do it just right and draw that solder in, you put it all back together, it's going to leak, and that's not good. You don't want to have that leaking on you. And but PEX piping is a good way.
Sure, I miss the days of standing back and looking at a whole house that you completed in copper and seeing how beautiful it is. It's almost like an artwork.
It is.
Those days are gone.
Well, those days of being able to work on a radiator and look like a work of art before you paint it black with all the nice copper and brass on there, those are gone too. We about once every year or two we get to repair a truck radiator that comes in with those down there, but not very often. But they are pieces of art when they're looking like they're supposed to. Scott, we only got about a minute left. What would you like? I know you're always looking for people to come to work for you with good home training. They have good manners. They can say yes ma'am, no ma'am, and tip their hat and things like that and wipe their shoes off. And are you still looking for those type plumbers to train?
We sure are. If you've got mechanical ability and you enjoy working outside, you enjoy working with folks, you enjoy just, the physical exertion and stepping back and looking at something and saying, wow, I completed that. That's a beautiful, job. If that really, is your thing, then we want to hire you. We want to train you to be a plumber.
All right, well, I tell you what, after I just got back driving to South Florida to visit my kids, and I heard so many commercials for people wanting to hire plumbers. There must be a big demand out there for plumbers, and they need to come by and see you before. Well, they just need to come by and see you, because right now the ground floor of entry-level plumbing is open, I believe, right now, and it's only growing. It's only growing. It's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Scott, thank you so much for calling us. They can reach you at 763-2001 Monday through Monday,